Good evening. Hey, welcome all you gurus, and thanks for joining. We're really excited for this evening's Innate to Innate. I have a really special guest here. She is somebody who is very passionate about intuition and sexuality and getting in touch with our bodies and getting in touch with what's real. As she happens to also be my cousin. So this is a really an honor for me to welcome her on tonight's talk. And as we get started and people start to join the call, I already see that there's 5 other people with us here. That's excellent. Welcome to the call. I want you to know that tonight's action between Chantelle and me, this is live, real time. And we welcome your comments, your questions, your engagement. So just start throwing in the comment bar where you're from. And just to welcome yourself into the community. And then at the end, we're going to start to engage some of the questions so we can really be of service to you. Before we jump into the conversation, one of the things that I'm noticing on Facebook is how much static there is. And with that static, it's like constant stimulus and like drama. And I'm choosing to offer something different in the Facebook world because I feel it's needed. And that's about presence, okay, and connection and contact and having real relationships with people. And I feel it's really important tonight for us to start within ourselves. So we're going to do a short meditation as we begin tonight. Hi, Amy, nice to see you. And Helene, nice to have you be part of the call too. And so let's just take a moment. We're going to close our eyes and go inwards. We can take a couple of big breaths. And again. Excellent. Feeling your body, okay, being present. And I want you to know, people who are engaging with us, that where you are within yourself is connected to Chantelle and I, okay? It's going to influence our call. So I thank you for your presence. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring up Chantelle here. She's a gifted healer. She's passionate about body talk. And I would love for her just to share just a couple more bits about, her background and her passion. So I'm going to bring her up here now. Hi there, Chantelle.
Hi, thanks so much for having me tonight.
You're so welcome. Awesome. So for people who are new to you, can you just share a bit of your background and what your interests are?
Well, I've been doing body talk for 10 years now, and I found it when I was really, really ill. I wasn't able to get pregnant, and at that time in my life, I was just so unhappy with myself. I had so much anger, and I hated people, I hated myself, and it was just, I was not in a good place at all, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I found the body talk system, and I basically went for a session to get pregnant and to heal my pain, because I was having chronic pain every day. And it was so interesting because overnight my pain healed and I soon got pregnant after trying for years. But what really struck me was the journey that I began, and it was a spiritual journey. It was just a journey to find who I am, and with that I've just found so many things about myself that I love, and I just love every course that I take, every session that I do, that I get done for myself, but also every session that I do for clients. It just brings me closer and closer to that authenticity and the person, that I am truly inside. So it really feels like the layers just keep peeling away. And it's just been such a magical process and journey, and I just love it so much. And I'm just so honored and excited to be able to share this with the world, and really to be able to teach people that, everybody calls me a gifted healer, and, that sounds wonderful, but the truth is everyone has that gifted healer within. There was nothing special about me. There was nothing gifted about me other than the fact that I was just someone who really, really wanted to learn and to get better. And so that's really the biggest message that I have for people is everyone has the ability to learn and to develop their intuition and to really become their own healer. And of course, I still get sessions from others because it's easier to be, objective. Other people can actually see me more than I can see myself sometimes. However, I mean, I do so much work on myself, and that's really what I want people to know.
Mm. Excellent. You and I both have this in common. We're getting a bit of echo there. Okay, cleared up. Excellent. You and I both have this in common about how we see the importance of doing our own work. And I think we both have in common, too, how easy it is to let that slide at times.
Oh, yes. And what I love is that the universe just always has a way to self-correct you. Like you were talking about your rudder. I mean, if you go too far off the path, and I find that I get very passionate about things, and I get so excited about helping people that I find that I forget about myself sometimes. And so, at the end of last year, I fell and got a severe concussion, and like the universe literally knocked me on my butt, and all I could do was lay on the couch. And that was just such a wonderful thing that happened to me because I realized how I really wasn't taking care of myself. So it really started a whole new trajectory for me. And I started meditating for an hour a day and just really getting into my body and starting to balance my life and noticing where I start to go off track. And it's just opened up a whole new world for me. It's like my soul has been calling me to do this work, through the sexuality and dealing more with the inner sexuality and the warrior goddess, like I've been starting to do. And it's something that I've been afraid of for years because it was such a vulnerable topic and thing, story to share. So it's exciting and scary all at once, which I love.
And I love that you're willing to ride that way.
Well, yes.
That's where newness exists, for sure. And so I had invited you on the program with the intention of talking about intuition. And you said, hey, yeah, and underneath all that really is about sexuality. And so I know that's where your juice is right now. And I think we might have a couple of steps to get into the deeper pieces. Sure. Core pieces, which people were going to touch on tonight, which I think is a wonderful opportunity. And if you're just tuning in, I see that there's a number of us have tuned in live. This is live, okay? And Chantelle and I are here for you. And so if you want to just start in the engagement by dropping in the comment section where you're tuning in from, that would be excellent. And if you have any questions, specific questions, please place them in here and we're going to address that throughout tonight's talk. So let's start with intuition, okay? I think it's something that's talked about. We read about it. We might think about it. And yet I find that most people aren't in touch with it. And often or sometimes I'm not either. So could you just break it down for us on like a real basic level? What is intuition? How do we begin to touch it and work with it?
Well, basically what it is it's the inner knowing. So where you're just really, truly being guided. And we've all had those gut feelings where we know something. We'll have a feeling that somebody might be phoning us and then they phone. Or we see someone, we just feel like we've connected with them before and then we remember where. And, for me, it's more of just really, it's that strong internal guidance of where we're meant to go and what we're meant to do. But what I find the problem is, and this was me for many, many years, even though I teach courses on how to develop your intuition, what I found is I was always so interested in getting the answer. Mm-hmm. And, it was that sensual aspect of just waiting and being still and being patient that wasn't so present all the time. Right. So it was like I was going in we call it mindscape. So when I find my zone or the place or my flow, we call it mindscape in the body talk world. And so when I was in that space, I was always trying to get answers and ask questions. And we can do those things. However, when we're in that space, we're not really truly present because we're really having expectations of what we want to know.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we can clear those filters, and some of us can get to that place. I know we've all had it where we can ask the question and it shows up. However, I find it's really more about the process of getting to a space where you don't need those answers, where you can just really truly be present and appreciate what you actually have. So when you're in that space of, wow, my life is just so amazing, thank you so much, then when we add the stillness, those messages will start to show up. And, like I said, I'm just going to make it a really short story, but I hit my head. I basically could just lay on the couch. I was training for a mountain relay, couldn't go to the gym anymore, couldn't do anything. So then I couldn't work. So I basically lost all the money that I had saved up. And it was just, I was rock bottom. I mean, I don't know if you can get further rock bottom. And I was going through a lot of internal processing. In the spiritual world, we call it the dark night of the soul. And I was just literally letting go of my attachments to everything because I was losing it all. And there was just one point where I just thought, this is happening for a reason, so you need to embrace it. And even though I was teaching it, you still have to process it and feel it and think it's all shitty sometimes. But when you get to that place where you think, okay, I'm going to do my work and I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to learn exactly what this is trying to tell me. And wow, it was literally that day that my life just turned around completely. And, I still it's not like I was making more money or things were flowing into my life anymore, other than the fact that I was just so completely grateful for everything that I had. And at that point, that's when my intuition started speaking to me and telling me what I needed to do, because I had no choice but to let go, because it's almost like I had nothing left. And it was just such a magical process where you're really truly grateful to buy bread. It got to that point, and it's just a wonderful feeling to be that raw and authentic and just so grateful for literally every breath that you're taking. And so once that happened, I started my meditations for an hour a day. And then every time I would meditate, I would get a strong message, because I wasn't asking questions. I was just wanting to be still, to still my mind. And, then I would hear, you have to take 3 months more off work. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have no money. How am I going to take 3 months off work? That makes no sense. But it was very, very strong. And I just got to the point where I thought, I'm going to listen to every message that comes in, even if it doesn't make sense. I know at some point it will. And now that I've been taking all these workshops that I love and doing so much inner work on myself. And through that process, it's like, holy cow, no wonder I had to take 3 months off. I needed to find who I was. So, it was just so wonderful, and it still is. And it's just great to be in a place where I can really, truly find and follow my passion, because I'm actually listening now.
So there's a number of great pieces in there I want to pull apart. Number one was, we're talking about how moving from thinking about planning, having specific goals, or asking specific questions, which I think most people have spent more time reading books on intuition, videos, workshops, than they have actually feeling what's up. And then you talked about how to rest into what is really the way to tune into intuition. And what I'm remarked with is, in this really hard time for you when you had a concussion, weren't able to work, right? Where our kind of learned behaviors would be like panic, you were courageous enough to rest into what was real for you, and what blossomed through that was your intuition.
Yeah, it was really just truly a magical process. And it actually makes me think of your mom. And, when your mom was sick, that was just, it was so magical for me to watch her process, because the fact that she truly let go of her illness and just accepted it, and she let it heal her life. After that, I saw a warrior in her, and I thought, holy, anything is possible. So it was just wonderful how she's not someone who's been studying intuition all her life, yet she had, such a horrible thing happen to her, and she found the beauty in it. So that's just been a really wonderful process for me to be a part of.
Yeah, most definitely. For those of you who don't know, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer in the spring of 2016. And Chantelle was one of her key players, her key support people that helped her walk through that. And she did it naturally without any drugs. She did have surgery, and the surgery demonstrated that she had healed herself, that there was no more tumor inside. It was shriveled up. There was remnants, but she really had done the work and resolved the energy, that the internal conflict that was happening on the inside. Chantelle was one of her key players that helped her walk through that. And I agree with you. I think that was a phenomenal lesson for both you and I, of how here's somebody in the face of death and a very scary and real situation that was so courageous just to go inside. And through it, it was remarkable at how she was able to connect to her innate, to her intuition around what foods to eat. I would suggest maybe you should do some of this, and she'd tune in. She'd, no, I don't want to do this. And then I'd do something else, and she'd, yeah, that's right. It was amazing to watch her through that.
Well, now, and one thing that's coming up when you're talking, I remember the last session that we had together, and there was no cancer left. And it came out of my mouth, because when you're working intuitively, things come out of your mouth and you don't always necessarily know what it is. And I said, there's no cancer left. It's completely gone. And she said, I know, it's gone. God told me I was going to survive. But that night, I had I cried. I went for a 2-hour walk and I cried the whole time. And I thought, what if I was wrong? Like, what if I was wrong? And here I set her up for failure. And I actually ended up in front of a church, and I was praying for her. And the interesting thing that kept coming to me is, you've given her hope. Even if you were wrong, she still has that hope. So it's interesting how you can get the strongest intuitive messages, and then when you come out of that space, how you question it. So we're talking like this, and I'm talking about my situation and how magical it was. But I don't want anybody to think that I sit here every day, like on a mountain saying, thank you, God, this is the best thing ever. Oh my God. Like, throughout the day, I have fear. I have panic. I put out a video today that was so raw and vulnerable, and it was the most exhilarating experience. But yet every 20 minutes I would get this, holy shit, what are people going to think of me? Am I on the right track? Am I crazy? So the fear is going to be there. It's for us to be able to work through it. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm just on this magical mountain all the time, because that is not real life.
Yeah. There is the book, The Secret, which really popularized this concept of like positive energy. And I think in a lot of ways it led people astray. It had people think that they were doing things wrong if they did experience negative energy. And often the opposite that's true. When we are expanding, when we're stepping into new places within ourselves and in our lives, that's when the shitstorm shows up. Right? That's when our neuroses kicks in. That's when our worst fear shows up, when our self-destruction shows up, right?
Well, and I love that, because I find that there's so many things out there saying, think positive and your life is going to change. And yeah, but there's a whole process behind that. And I love that you're sharing that message, because people need to know we're all human. I like to drink. I like to swear. we're not perfect and we're human. And I love that we are. I love that part of me now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my intuition is starting to surge, is when I'm actually accepting and, loving those pieces of me that I used to judge. And, like I'm talking about my sexuality now. I mean, this is just a really new thing for me to actually step into that and accept that part of me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, we honor you for your courage. That's great. I've seen that we've had a number of new people join our talk tonight, so it's great. And all those who are on board right now, know that you're part of our field. We're all connected, and we'd love to hear from you. Please type in, hi, our cousin Christina's on.
I just saw that.
That's awesome. And type in where you're from, okay? And hey, if you got a question, now's your chance, okay? It would be awesome. We'd love to hear some questions from you. We will acknowledge your questions for sure. So that's great. Helena says, You Can Change Your Life by Louise Hay. Yeah, it's a great book. Absolutely, for sure. I think that was a book Chantelle and I both have enjoyed. I'm speaking for you now, but hi, Jen. Awesome. Nice to see you. Okay, so we're talking about intuition, okay? In the chiropractic realm, we use the word innate. Okay, so innate is that inborn wisdom.
Right.
Okay. There's two words. We spell one innate with a small I, N-N-A-T-E. And so that's the innate wisdom within our body that knows how to run and regulate our bodies. Okay. We also talk about a capital I, N-N-A-T-E. And that's the innate wisdom that's inside of us that knows how to run and regulate our lives. How do you see innate connected with intuition?
Dr. John Beltime, he was actually a chiropractor and ran a naturopathic college, and then he developed the Body Talk system. And so that's who I've been studying with for 10 years now. And he's actually just developing a new course called The Soul's Journey. And I mean, I loved Body Talk and I love the science behind it. I'm such a brain geek. I love knowing everything about the brain and how the body works. And then he came up with this new work, and it literally just blew my mind, because it's like I've seen past lives for so many years in people's sessions, but didn't completely understand what it meant and felt, kind of insecure talking about it. But now this new work is just really blowing everything out of the water, where the soul's journey is what we're honoring. And we're now starting to look at all of the karmic debt that comes in. So any past life that you've lived through, you actually come in with those programs. So let's say, you lived a past life where you were a successful farmer and you lost the farm and lost everything. Well, you're actually going to live through this lifetime afraid of success because you could lose it all. So you'll find that you're going to sabotage yourself. So your soul's journey has so much to do with everything. And so I really see that our role is to start to release all of the blockages that are preventing us from tuning into that intuition. Mm-hmm. So, whether we call it consciousness, innate, those, there's a divine energy out there. And what it is its role is to lead us through. And so our job is to connect, get into our bodies and do our work so that we can actually start to hear the call of the soul, because it's so strong. I mean, literally, there was no reason I should have fallen on the pavement. I literally feel like I was just thrown down because it was time for me to listen, and I'm stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. Our family history, we're all stubborn. But yeah, it was just, that is the divine call of, hey, it's time to show up and do your work here. People need someone like you in the world to spread the message, but they need a warrior who has lived through it and experienced it, not someone who's talking about it. So that's how, it all works together, the body, the mind, the soul.
Well, I love that you're that past life karmic debt, what we bring in to this lifetime. And as you're speaking through that, reminded me of a Rumi quote, which is we have this little placard hanging on our exit at the Lifehouse, and it reminds people every time they leave the office. And the quote is, "Your goal is not to seek love, but rather to seek the barriers which prevent you from it."
Ooh, I love that.
I'm seeing that in what you're speaking as well, and in body talk systems, that really innate intuition is there all the time, and it's really our role is to clear out the patterns, the programs that are there that's preventing us from being connected to it.
Well, and it comes from so many, of course I mentioned the past lives because I just took the course and I'm so excited about it. And I took it in Miami before too. But, everything that happened through your childhood, and we get it through our ancestors. So we have so many programs set up that are holding us back. So like you say, that's our job, and our work is to notice and to really start to reveal, what are those stories? What are the fears that show up when we start something new? And like I said, I'm on a totally new venture, and I'm starting to notice new fears that are showing up. But if we're not pushing ourselves in new areas, we're not going to notice those things. So I created a 12-week online body, mind, soul boot camp. I was so pumped about it. And then when I come back from this course, I thought, oh my gosh, you did it again. You were so pumped about something that was easy. I can teach that workshop, with my eyes closed. Well, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to push myself all the time. And, you think when the fear shows up, it means you're going in the wrong direction, but it's actually opposite. That fear shows up to show you that you're doing something that your nervous system is not accustomed to. And that's the best thing, because we want to do new things that scare the hell out of us. Because if we're not scaring the hell out of ourselves, I literally felt like I was dying inside, not sharing that message. There's a course that I'm actually training to teach in the system. It's called Free Fall. And you actually have to be naked during the course, because it's the most vulnerable state that you'll ever be in. And what it does is it deals with releasing all of that rubbish and all of those blocks around our heart, and also everything that's blocking our pelvis. So any, physical trauma or sexual trauma or belief systems that we have. So, that's been my passion. But then I come home and it's like I shut it down because of the fear. And then I literally feel like I'm dying because I'm just not in my sexual space. I'm not expressing myself. I'm not creative. So it's just always interesting how I see that I fall into that pattern and do the safe thing. And I don't want to do the safe thing. Well, I do and I don't.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you for your courage. My goodness. Peter Gabriel, one of my favorite singers, he sings a song. It's titled Darkness. And in it, he sings, I may still have my fears, but my fears don't have me.
Oh, nice.
Okay, absolutely. So we've got a couple of questions here, and I think the questions are going to really tee up one of the things we were talking about earlier, Chantelle, but I'm going to read Leah's question here. I'll just bring it up. Excellent. So Leah asks, how do you know when your intuition is strongest? Is it an emotion or a physical feeling? Like, do you get dizzy, or is it just something going right? Is it about being like in the flow, or?
That's a good question. It's more the fact that you feel just an inner calm and an inner knowing. And, I'm glad she brought that up, because what we haven't really said tonight is how to build your intuition for people that, I teach a course, but maybe everyone doesn't want to take the workshop. Do what you enjoy. So do whatever takes you out of your brain and out of your mind. And especially women, we are thinkers. We need to do whatever we can to fully be in the moment. So you don't have to be meditating. You don't have to be, sitting on a mountain. You just need to be really fully enjoying yourself. And so I play with my kids. If we're playing ball, I'm not thinking anymore. we started doing, dance parties. I always have dance parties by myself, but I have them with my kids. I do like meditating. I love meditating, but I just want people to know that it doesn't have to be anything, difficult. And anytime that you're playing, anytime you're feeling your senses, that's another one to really remember, because when I go to the gym, when I'm running, those are my times that I get into my zone as well. But you don't always want to be on the move. Some people are different. So I always tell people, use your senses. When you're eating, just taste your food. When you're talking to someone, like, be with them, listen to the music, just really, truly be where you are and really feel your body. And those are the times that you'll notice that you're not thinking, you're not trying, you're just really, truly living. And that's when you're going to start getting those, internal messages where you just think, how you're trying to think of a problem and then you go lay down and you think, oh my gosh, I get it. Like, it just hits you. The second you stop trying, the information will come. And just remember that our intuition, I guess that maybe I've been speaking about it, how we're always trying to get information, and that's really not what it is. It's really about just being and just living and just being able to be present and fully enjoy our lives instead of always trying to get somewhere else or be in the past or be in the future. It's just to be where you are.
Mm. Well said. As we were preparing for tonight's talk, one of the things you shared, you said, we're either in our minds or we're in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're inviting people to look at is ways that we can get in our bodies when we're not thinking about our day-to-day to-do lists, the future, or the past, being in the present, being in our bodies. Awesome. So we have a comment here from Deb. Solo dance parties are the best. I love it when people are willing to, I just had a session with with a counselor person that a dear friend of mine. She's doing awesome work with me. Thank you so much, Catherine. And we were talking to Norm's little boy, and little boy Norm, and we were talking about how there were some needs that aren't being met currently in relationship with my dad, actually. And she helped me to connect with my adult Norm and use him to talk to my little Norm and find what he really needed and what needed to be said. And then it was like, and that's really what my dad needs to hear too. Right? It was all pulled full circle. And what I'm making reference to is, I love it. This is something we teach at the Lifehouse community. It's like whatever we feel is missing, to create that. And, congrats to Debbie Tiller, who's willing to, hey, if we want to dance, let's get up and do that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Another question here. Well, I'm just going to read it. I don't know if there's a question there or not. Maybe Chantelle, you can read this. I think you know Amanda.
I do. Hello, lovely from Vancouver. So proud of you, Chantelle. Shine on. You're a big part of my journey and my story when I first took Mindscape with you in Medicine Hat back in 2012. Thank you for showing me how to change how I see the world. You are amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you, my love.
I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to read that to yourself.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's so funny how you live your life and you don't always sit and really tune into the people that you're changing and helping and inspiring. And to hear those messages, it's just, we kind of need our little boost too to know that we're on the right track. So thank you so much, Amanda. That makes me feel so good.
Awesome. That's excellent. All right, people. Hey, if you got some more questions, we'd love to hear from you. Let me see if I've got anything else. All right. So I'm hearing lots of people saying yes, that they're appreciating this. Our numbers keep building throughout the call too, Chantelle. People are joining the call and not many people are leaving. So that's neat. So we made it to intuition is about feeling the body. Mm-hmm. Okay, and really feeling, resting into what is. Now, something you were bringing up to me earlier today was about how you really feel that sexuality is one of the vehicles to really build your body presence and build your intuition. So I see that kind of the next step now. So that's a big topic. I'm going to leave it to you. I don't know where you want to go in speaking about sexuality, but I'm sure there's lots of, blockages and taboo and all that stuff. Where do you want to go with that?
Well, the interesting thing is I just realized how much guilt I had about sexuality. And I guess I'll take this time to be totally open because this is what I want to do with my life now. I found myself telling every single person that I went to a new class. So body talkers are coming from all over the world and you haven't seen them. You get to connect and they're talking, how's it going? They know I've been single for 2 years. And I heard myself saying, men are so weird. All they want to do is have sex. It's so disgusting. And every time I said it, I just thought, I just knew that I was lying about something, but I didn't even know what I was lying about. And the interesting thing, I did a lot of work with myself this weekend. I got some sessions. I got a session from Dr. Valtime. And what I really realized is how much I love sex and how much I really want sex. And how, every time somebody shows up in your world who triggers you, it's definitely a mirror of you. And I knew that even as I was saying that. So it just gave me the opportunity to step into that and just notice how much guilt I had from wanting to be a sexual person. And so then I go back to the times in my life where I was very sexual and I was allowing myself to feel. And I was so creative. I was so alive. I felt on fire. I felt sexy. I felt vibrant. I loved life. And then the guilt would start to show up. And then I would start to shut it down. And, it was just a really good awareness of that's when you're alive. And it's really starting to make me look and, learn who I am, but also know that this is something that so many women are struggling with. And even just since I started talking about it in the last 2 or 3 days, I've had so many women emailing me and messaging me saying they've been sexually assaulted and that they're dealing with so many of these issues from childhood and from their lifetime. Sorry, my sound is really off. I don't know if yours is. That's why I'm kind of hesitating a bit.
You're fine.
Okay. So it's just to learn who you are, and it's not necessarily everyone's problem or everyone's issue or what the priority is for everyone. However, what it is us not lying to ourselves and not. I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed of the thoughts I had, the fantasies I had. I just thought I was so perverted and I was ashamed of it and I felt dirty until I started realizing that, this is something that is a part of you. And every time you're denying that, it's like me telling one of my kids how disgusting and dirty they are because they like something. So it's shutting that part down. And that's what we want to do is we want to embrace all of those parts of us instead of, judging it and saying that it's wrong because it's not.
I think you bring up a really good point here, Chantelle, that, if you look generally in our culture, men are pretty okay about talking about how they want sex. In fact, in some ways, it's almost like inflated, that it's celebrated, and kind of pompous in some way. So it's very socially acceptable, if not encouraged for that. And yet women would have those same needs and desires, the same energies, and perhaps even more. And yet culturally we've been taught that this is, where most women, when I hear talk about sex, it's more out of the wounded state.
Yes.
Right? And again, just kudos for you showing up here, Facebook Live, and just saying, you know what, I'm a sexual being. This is where it's at. All right, so I'm going to tune in here where we've got Cheryl. Cheryl wants to say hi.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl.
Me to be okay with who I am. That's awesome. You know, for a long time, I thought that the game was about changing me.
Oh, isn't that the worst? And you know, it is. And that's what everybody is teaching. And I fall into that trap too. It's like, do better, be better. And oh my gosh, I just got a huge aha. That's what my last workshop was gearing toward. But and you know, my friend Cheryl's on the call, and I actually roomed with her this weekend, and it was so liberating to talk to a woman who has very strong sexual urges as well, and to learn that it's okay and there's nothing wrong with us, and it's just to love the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I even had to go back and have a conversation with my mom because I thought, how the hell am I going to start teaching this and talking about this? And I was just expecting so much judgment from my family. And so I actually phoned my mom and we had a really great conversation. And I said, this is where I'm at and this is what I feel called to share with the world. And it was just such a liberating conversation because she just was okay with it. And, you know, to know that my mom is okay with me was a big deal. You know, it's amazing. And I have a friend, a male friend, and to talk to him about it also was it's just, the more you open up, the more you realize you're okay and you're normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm starting this online community where we can share our stories in a safe and private place. And I've got 4 interviews lined up already with women who want to share their stories. And I think it's wonderful to do that because I think we all need to hear that we're okay and that there's nothing wrong with us.
Well said. Lovely. Okay, so we've chatted about getting in the body. We talked about intuition, sexuality. So let's go a little bit deeper on the sexuality. I see that for a lot of people that would be, you know, a real kind of core wound, a real tough place to navigate. For somebody who's, you know, getting started with the work or wanting to open up this sexual arena, what suggestions do you have about where to begin and how to get started with it or how to go deeper with it?
Well, I'm not going to hide anything. To be honest, I think one of the most important things that, especially women, I think men are really good at it already. But I think women need to learn how to masturbate and just really learn how to be able to pleasure themselves. And I actually find that I have such a hard time getting out of my brain. And that's just one of the best ways to actually have an energy release to be able to get back into your body and not only for clearing your mind, but just being able to know that you can feel pleasure by yourself without needing it from a man. And not that there's nothing wrong with, you know, having sex with a man, but, you know, sometimes we're not in a position where we have a partner. So we don't want to be going insane because honestly, I have so much sexual energy that, you know, if I'm not having a sexual outlet, I can't think. I have a hard time thinking. So I think that that's one of the most important things for women to learn. And especially, you know, at a younger age. And, you know, my little girl's only 6. But, you know, when you feel right and you want to have that conversation, I think teenagers need to learn it as well because they're having urges and feelings. And they need to learn that they can pleasure themselves too. And really, to be honest, your sexual energy is the strongest healing energy that you have. So when you're releasing that sexual energy and not letting it be built up and stored up, you're actually releasing the energy from the heart, which helps you build relationships, which helps you build your intuition and really your trust in others and yourself and the universe. And then it also flows through your whole nervous system, shifts your whole vibration, and it really heals your whole body. So I find people who are not in touch with their sexuality are really getting sick, and it builds up the negative ions, or in the positive ions in your body, and so that causes inflammation, and it really makes you sick.
Mm-hmm. Well, that wasn't the answer I thought I was going to get.
Whoops, sorry.
It's awesome. So here we are, Facebook Live with the world, and me and my cuz are talking down masturbation.
Lovely.
Awesome. And, you know, at the same time, I'm just saying thank you that, you know, we've done the work, you and I, that we can sit here and have an adult conversation of this. And, you know, it's fascinating for both you and I, who moved away a number of years ago. We really haven't had that much contact over the last 15 years. And it was really through my mom's healing journey that we got reconnected. And it's fascinating to see how we're just dancing beside each other tonight, meeting each other, which is pretty cool. You know, for those of you out there, like Chantelle and I have talked 5 times in the last 10 years, and here we are. So it's pretty cool. And at the same time, feeling so darn connected to you. It's unbelievable. I can just reach through the screen and give you a big hug. That's awesome. All right, let's tune in here. And see if we have any other questions. I saw a lot of interest when we did talk about pleasing ourselves. There was a lot of yeses. So cool on that. It's great that we're bringing that into community and that we can talk about this. This is great. Why not? You know, I definitely remember when my sexual energy started happening, young age, and, you know, it's like, what the hell do I do with this? Tons of confusion and all this energy. And then the shame around masturbation, which was really the most appropriate choice at that age. I'm 14. I'm not supposed to, well, I guess I could be having sex with my girlfriend, but I wasn't. And so, I mean, masturbation is what should be going on, you know, and exploring and getting to know ourselves. And you know, that definitely it wasn't like, hey, this is a healthy thing, let's explore it and get to know myself. It was more, you know, shame, hiding, all that stuff. So awesome that we're having the conversation tonight. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say how I would say probably up until I'm 43. So I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago through my free fall training and starting to open up, I had the most, like I said, I had lots of sexual energy, and every time I would masturbate, I would go through 2 days thinking how disgusting and dirty that was. So, I mean, really, look what that's doing to your body, to your mind, to your self-esteem. And you don't have, I don't know of a platform that there is where women can talk about this stuff. And that's why I think that, I just felt this in my heart so strongly. That's what I meant to have that platform for women, to just be open and let's talk about it all.
Cool. Well, we're doing it right here, right now. We've got lots of people tuned in from around the world, and we're live tonight. We'd love to hear your comments. If people want to chime in here, that would be awesome. Excellent. Good for you guys. Why can't we all have these talks regardless of family or friends? Well, the truth is we all can have this conversation, right? Mm-hmm. It's a choice. And, you know, I was sharing with you, Chantelle, the other day about how, you know, the My Inner Guru program, I'm really developing it from a perspective of this is what I need, I want to learn about. This is my field of study. And so I want to create opportunities with people who I'm connected with and I appreciate to go deeper in these conversations. And why not share it with other people? And so this opportunity is really available for everyone. For some reason, perhaps we think that we need to have a certain skill set, but this is a new conversation, you and I. We've never gone this deep before.
Well, and the interesting thing is, I'm no sexual expert. I'm just somebody learning and trying to figure out how that pleasure is the best thing to experience. It's the most euphoric feeling, which is really truly, when we're going back to intuition and healing, such a strong healing tool. So it is, I just saw somebody posted, it is good to feel good. And I love the way Deepak Chopra says the word enthusiasm actually means in touch with God. And it makes so much sense. And when you keep going back to that, you realize when I'm really enthusiastic and excited, I'm actually in touch with my divine. So sexuality, that's a wonderful thing. It feels great. You feel so much pleasure. So, yeah, you're not, we've been taught that it's wrong and that it's bad, and it's not.
Yeah, and it's, I think it's great to talk about as well. There's the energy of it, and then there's the behavior associated with it. And then there's also having the dialogue and just being able to talk about this, whether it's with our friends or with our spouse or with our cousins.
Online.
Yeah. At the end of the day, these are real human experiences. This is one of the most, if not the most, innate energies is our sexuality. And we all have insecurities, fears, phobias, issues around it. And so let's bring it to the forefront. Let's have the conversation. What I find over and over,
sorry,
no problem. What I find over and over again is that when I do bring it to conversation, it's just like, afterwards, it feels so much better.
It's so true. And one thing that I just wanted to say also, because then we're going to have the other side of the coin where people are maybe too sexual and not expressing it in a healthy way as well. So I just wanted to mention that when we do our work and we're releasing our sexuality and the issues around our heart, what we do is we get to a place where we love ourselves enough, not just to accept ourselves, but also to set those healthy boundaries, and learning to ask the questions that you need to ask before entering into a sexual relationship. Because, I don't want everyone to think that I'm just saying, hey, go jump into bed with anyone that you see, because we do have to be able to respect ourselves enough to set those boundaries. And so that's really the work that I want to do, coaching women. And of course, we want to do the body talk work and get rid of those blockages that are causing everything. But also, that inner work and coaching of what is your story? Where's your pain? And how can we get through that? And also help you have a healthy sex life, not just a sex life. Do you know what I mean? There's like a difference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Well, for those of you out there that are appreciating this conversation, you're more than welcome to share the video on your wall. You can share it directly with your friends if you want to pass it on as a message. You can share it on your wall, though. That's one of the best ways to get the message out. And you're also more than welcome to leave some comments here. What Mr. Facebook loves is engagement, and what Chantelle and I are really up to is sharing this with as many people as we can, and spreading the word that who you are is okay. That's great. So Chantelle, I know that you and I could probably go on for another 2 or 3 hours, and there's lots of people out there who would like to go deeper with you. And I know that you do work in lots of different capacities, that you can do work if the people don't live near you. So that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different avenues of working with you. What's the best way that people can get in touch with you?
Well, I'm developing my new website. It's called thesoularmy.com, because what I see my life's work as is building an army of soulful people inspiring each other. And so it's thesoularmy.com, and I've got my new private, safe warrior goddess evolution I just set up a newsletter so you can subscribe to this community. So I'm going to start to have some interviews. I'm going to start to post more videos, just a safe place for women to go, and men as well, to be able to learn about their inner, their inner secrets, their inner work. And then what I'm doing is I'm developing new platforms for me to be able to work with people on a one-on-one basis, but also more of a, a group work as well. So I'm not sure what that's going to be, but I'm excited. It'll show up in my mind at some point.
Awesome. So we got a website there, and email address and phone number, or email address at least.
Oh, it's Chantelle, Chantelle, at thesoularmy.com.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay. Well, this was a fascinating talk. Perhaps we'll have you on again. I think that would be great.
Wonderful. And then I'd like to interview you on my show now too, how men deal with their sexuality.
That's excellent. We'd love to. I'm sweating already.
Oh, that's cute.
That's awesome. Well, what I saw with you working with my mom is you definitely like to go to the root and to really get to the heart of matters. And I love and appreciate you for that, most definitely. And you're welcome. So the innate in me blesses the innate in you. And everybody else out there, thanks for tuning in tonight. And this is Dr. Norm reminding you to attune to the wisdom within. Thanks so much for joining. All right.